Hello Cherries fans, happy Friday and welcome to this match preview of AFC Bournemouth versus Leicester at Dean Court. If you're new here, this is Back of the Net. We are an AFC Bournemouth fan channel and my name is Sam Davis.
My name is Tom Jordan.
And it's a channel where there's new and fresh content every single week, but we're all about the football. And tomorrow we welcome the Blues. So, what's coming up on today's preview show? Well, firstly, we're going to be giving our thoughts on Leicester City. Do we like them? Do we like their manager? And who stands out for them?
And then we'll go on to their thoughts on us. So what do Leicester think about Bournemouth? Do they see us as that little tiny club, or do they see us as the team that didn't get beat to them when they won the league?
Good point. Also, we need to address the Cherries takeover. It seems like it's entering its final stages, so we've got the latest on that as well.
And then the usual team news, injury updates and all that good stuff for both sides.
And also, Tom is going to predict both teams as well, not just AFC Bournemouth, but also Leicester City side as well. And you know what? He's pretty good at that as well. So yeah, should be a good game. And if you're travelling down from Leicester, it is a 3-hour, 10-minute drive, so make sure you have safe travels. I think there's going to be sunny spells tomorrow, 15 degrees. Sound like Michael Fish, the weatherman here, mate. And not much chance of rain, but on the pitch, mate, it's going to be an interesting one. Leicester recently revitalised after their 4-0, and Bournemouth unbeaten under Gary O'Neill, but it's not quite mid-table v bottom, is it? Because Leicester are better than their position suggests.
It feels like they're in a little bit of a false position. Obviously, they showed on Monday night, you know, what they're about and the players they've got. I think there was a few games I remember them getting battered in the end by Tottenham, but actually they're in the game for most of it. And I think they've played all right in certain games, just been key moments in both boxes really. But they have still got your James Maddison, your Harvey Barnes, Tielemans, Vardy. I mean, they're going to cause you problems. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting game in the sense that you feel like they've got better players and they're a better side, but the league table suggests otherwise. So it's set up to be quite an even one. I think you could back either team or the draw, and you know no one would argue. I think you could back anything. But as you say, mate, they're coming into it with their first win, and I mean, I don't know if that's a good thing or not. If they had not won, I'd have gone, well, they ain't going to lose again, surely. Yeah. So it's one of them. We'll see.
We'll see. And our head-to-head record against them in the Premier League, it's not actually too bad at all. Look, they're games that have goals as well. Do you remember that famous 4-2 win in front of the fans? That was when a certain wee man scored a couple. I know Tom doesn't like to say his...
he played well in that game, I remember that.
He did play well in that game, but also in lockdown as well, mate. That was when Dom Solanke found himself, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was... We thought we were dead and buried at that point. Obviously, we ended up going down, but I remember them being ahead, and then was it Soyuncu who just had a moment of madness and kicked Callum Wilson?
Yeah.
They went down to 10, and then Dom got a couple for us, and that felt like a big win at the time. If we had managed to just stay up, we would have looked at that game, wouldn't we? But,
it actually happened where Dom Solanke scored his first goal, so Bournemouth's second, because we equalised through a Callum Wilson penalty. And as soon as Dom was off to celebrate, the referee blew his whistle. I thought, oh no, what's it been flagged up for? Yeah. But that was when Soyuncu just, for some bizarre reason, went in on Cal. And then, as it was, I think there was a Stanislas shot that was an own goal off Johnny Evans, and then some great footwork for Solanke to make it 4-1. At that point, Bournemouth fans were feeling very good, but ultimately, it wasn't a good season for us. Look, Leicester... You know, in recent years, in the last 10 years, what a time to be a Leicester fan. Absolutely unbelievable. Of course, they're managed by Brendan Rodgers, as we know, and in his first full season in charge, and that was the season which was hit by COVID, they finished 5th in the league. But at this stage of the season, they had 14 points. Last season at this stage, they had 11 points, but they finished up in 8th place. We're going to take a look at the league table now, mate. And as we've alluded to, this season, not doing as good. There's a lot of reds there, but that one green is the thing that we're worried about. And they have improved, and players have got the confidence. And I'm wondering, though, could it have the Liverpool effect? Because you know what happened when they beat us 9-0?
Yeah.
They went on and... continued to play badly. It was almost like a one-off freak game. Could that be the same for Leicester, or do you think it'll be slightly different for them?
Potentially. I think with Leicester, I think what's going to be really intriguing in the game is we've looked defensively solid, but haven't really offered enough going forward. And I think they've always looked like they can still get goals, but they've looked weak defensively. So who will be on top there? That they might cancel each other out. It will be intriguing. But I don't know. I feel like I watched that game against Nottingham Forest, and they showed that attacking impetus and that they've got really good players. But if Forest had finished their chances, it could have been a different game. They had a couple of really big one-on-ones. They were still getting in behind, so I'm hoping that it will be a little bit more of an open game, which it would be the opposite of kind of our previous 2 home games, where it's just been defences have been on top. I actually think this one might be a little bit more open. So yeah, it'll be who's more clinical in both boxes, really.
It seems to favour us at the moment if it is an open game. I mean, that game against Nottingham Forest, where we were very open defensively in the first half, but then because they're open, we managed to exploit it with a slight tweak of formation, and maybe it's one of the games that actually could lend itself to being quite entertaining and maybe open for us, because defensively we are becoming more resolute, but they're no slouches either, we've got to say. Now, tell me about their transfer business, mate, because they signed a couple of players in the summer, didn't they?
Yeah, they signed the centre half, don't know how to pronounce his name, Face or something. Yeah. He was near the end of the window, and then they got Smithies, who was on trial with us.
Yeah.
And then they just got him in, because obviously they lost Kasper Schmeichel. Fofana went for big money, didn't he, to Chelsea?
That was worth a lot of money, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was like 75 million or something. They couldn't turn that down. But it is a really interesting situation at Leicester at the moment, because to me, it feels like them owners, I think, have been really, really good for them. And to me, it feels like they couldn't reject, Kasper Schmeichel left, and they couldn't reject that offer from Fofana. They've looked at it and gone, this season, it's all about just, we're not spending any money. We'll stay up, that's fine. And next season we'll go again, and we're thinking more long term. That's how it feels to me. Because they didn't just go and spend all that money. And they're probably in a little bit more of a rebuild. Vardy's getting a bit older, and as I say, they've lost a few key players there, so maybe they're looking for that kind of next team under Rodgers potentially. But yeah, it was a weird window for them, because they look like kind of the least active in terms of incomers, didn't they? But they have still got a decent squad, so they've got younger players that maybe they're given more of an opportunity now. So
do you think they're a likeable club?
Yeah, I'd say so.
I think they are as well.
And I think when they won the league, everyone was behind them, weren't they? Every neutral anyway. And that was a great story. And they've won the FA Cup since then as well. Brendan Rodgers won the FA Cup for them. So they've had a mad kind of decade or whatever. And yeah, I've got a couple of really close friends who are Leicester fans, and they used to get grief all the time off the other mates that support the big boys.
Yeah.
And it's been an amazing few years for them. So yeah, it feels like they're taking a bit of a step back now, but I think Leicester have been a well-run club for a while now, and I think they're taking them steps back, knowing that they can push forward.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that obviously goes down to the ownership, and it was really tragic what happened a number of seasons ago, but they're still going strong, and they are an established Premier League side. It's amazing. I mean, I think, was it our first or second season where they won the league?
First season.
Yeah, our first season, Leicester winning the league, and it was just absolutely unheard of, and I can't really imagine that happening again. I really can't.
No.
I mean, especially with the levels that Man City are at the moment, I can't see it ever happening.
It felt like a freak, and it was crazy. I mean, they didn't even have much of the ball that season. They were just counter-attack. It was just everything was working for them. It was amazing. But
some really good games, some really good goals, and special. And Claudio Ranieri being the mastermind of that.
Crazy, wasn't it?
Who'd have thought it?
I know. It was mad, but it was an unbelievable season for them, and. Yeah, and you've got to look at the recruitment as well. They bought in Mahrez for peanuts and Kante, and I mean, look at them two now. So, yeah, it was an amazing season. As I briefly mentioned, I think it was only us and Arsenal that didn't lose from that season. We had 2 draws against Leicester, and that's a nice little quiz question, that is.
Yeah.
When you think when Leicester won the league, there's only 2 teams they didn't beat. You wouldn't think Bournemouth, but that was a really entertaining first season in the Prem for us.
So in all competitions, AFC Bournemouth have won 6, we've drawn 5 and lost 8. But I tell you what, I know that we've had a couple of goalless draws at home, but I do expect this to be, hopefully, an entertaining affair, not least because our prospective new owner is going to be watching on. We will talk about that later in the show, and just to let you know the latest of whereabouts we're at. But it's always good to find out what their fans think about us, isn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely. Let's do it.
I think Bournemouth will be a real test. I'm trying to find the results that they've had previously, but they've been in good form, I think, ever since they sat Scott Parker.
Yeah, I'd say so. I think any team that sacks a manager with the new manager coming in term, they're always going to be performing better because they want to impress. But I was watching the match against Brentford, where they had last weekend, and I noticed the same type of attack that they were having, or at least when they had a counter attack. It was almost similar to the Forest, in our match on Monday where they would try to bring it into the mid, but then they'd lose it so easily because we would come back and defend and just take the ball away. It was something like that, even though they're playing home, where Brentford had a majority of the ball and more possession and more shots on goal. So that's kind of giving me a little hope where maybe the same thing could play out on Saturday.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah, so just all about, our heads right, the fact that we won the match, we're playing well, and just keep that momentum going into Saturday.
Away to their ground, we've had some shocking results there. I think the 4-1 recently, I don't really want to think about too much, but it's been an awful result where we lost that. We've had some good results there, but I think this is the opportunity to shine now. We've got one win. We just need to follow this up with another win. That will take us, I think, out of the relegation zone and just okay. Then we could try and build our season just before the World Cup.
Yeah, some interesting thoughts there about AFC Bournemouth, and look, the channel link is down below if you want to check them out. Look, in terms of Leicester City, they've got some really good fan YouTube channels. There's Blue Van Man.
Oh yeah, he's a bit of a legend now, and everyone
He's
knows him now. Yeah.
Lee Chappie, Leicester Fan TV, Leicester Till I Die. Loads of different channels, so do check them out. And one thing I find about Leicester, despite the fact they won the league and all that stuff, there's a lot of humility with their fans.
Yeah, I agree. They kind of know where they've been. They've been a bit of they feel like they've bounced a bit. They've been in League One not long ago. Then but they've got a decent. And I think they are one of them teams that neutrals just tend to quite like Leicester.
And also, maybe I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, because I look at Twitter sparingly. However, we know what's happened to Forest. Their start under Steve Cooper hasn't been particularly great. Obviously, we would have heard the news earlier this morning that he has been awarded, I wouldn't say awarded, but they've extended his contract to 2025. But there's been a number of Forest fans that have been saying, Cooper out, Cooper out, Cooper out. There have been a few Leicester fans that have been saying that, but not as many about Brendan Rodgers.
No, I think it's... I kind of mentioned it earlier in terms of I think you could see that he's lost a couple of his best players and obviously hasn't brought in that many, and maybe they're thinking it's a rebuild thing. And it's certainly not loud at the moment. I think if they didn't beat Forest and then say after that they then go and lose to us, I think maybe results on the pitch speak for themselves. And if they started, I think if you got to the World Cup and they're thinking, oh my God, we could go down, then it might get a bit more vocal. I think at the moment they're thinking it's less than 10 games in. We have still got quality. I think we'll have enough. So yeah, I think they know what Rodgers has brought to them, and as you say, mate, they're a club that I think are really happy where they are. There's a lot of weird similarities, I think, in the sense that we've had that rise as a football club that feels like a film, but Vardy feels like a film in itself, doesn't it? The player, decided for £1 million from non-league. And then he's getting the records, he's getting the England caps like he did. So yeah, I think they're a likeable club, and at the moment, I think they're happy to just go, right, let's give it a bit more time with Rodgers and let's see if we can pick up. And I personally, it'd be interesting to see if I agree after watching them in the flesh on the weekend, but I think they'll be mid-table comfortably.
Vardy could be a film. The whole family could. Just don't post anything on Instagram about it.
No, of course.
One thing I was going to say, there's a star player at the moment for Leicester who scored a couple, of course, on the Monday night match against Nottingham Forest. Will he be on that plane, mate?
No. I don't think he will.
Why? How? He's got to go.
No, I agree. But I'd just be very surprised in the sense that Southgate's never given him a cap. So to then just randomly call him up when he's never seen him, it would be a surprise. But I agree, his numbers are ridiculous. He's not even at a team that have started the season well.
It seems like Southgate doesn't pick players on form, hence certain players are always included.
It's a weird one. I think I tweeted after watching the game that Maddison, stop creating stuff. You need to start working back and be a bit more defensive sounding if you want to get a call up. It's a weird one. There always feels like, whatever manager there is, there always feels like there's a player that just won't get the opportunity. And he's that one at the moment, isn't he? I saw his press conference, his little chat with Neville and that after, and he was very, very good. He's always really well spoken. Yeah. And said about he needs to just force himself in. He needs to give him, and if he keeps this form up, he almost, I think he might make Southgate go, I've got no choice. Yeah. Absolutely no choice. But yeah, he's an incredible footballer. And I was gutted as well because I was chatting to my brother and he went, I'm going to bring Maddison in last week. And I went, I don't know about that. And they brought him in and he got a couple. So
FPL, love it. Well, of course, Leicester City, they're in the position they're in, obviously helped by an input of finances. And they've got a really good club ownership. So have we, mate. But it's a very tumultuous time for AFC Bournemouth off the pitch because it looks like the sale of the club is happening at the moment. And look, let's just go back through the timeline of exactly what happened in terms of Bill Foley and his consortium and the interest in the club? Because it was in early September that there were some stories starting to emanate from Dean Court about Max's intention to sell the club. This isn't a new thing by any stretch of the imagination. It's been on the cards previously, but conversations have been going on throughout the summer, and finding the right time to sell AFC Bournemouth has always been a major thing. And obviously being in the Premier League, it certainly helps, as it makes it more of an attractive proposition. As Chris Temple said on Twitter, it's been moving in the background, but obviously for US investors, part of that attraction is the fact that the dollar exchange rate against the pound is extremely good, and also they're drawn in by cheaper valuations relative to sports franchises in America over here in the UK. So the earnings potential from the world's richest football league is huge. And on September the 14th, it was stated on Bloomberg that AFC Bournemouth are looking to sell, and only a day later, September the 15th, it was I think it was Talk Sport that said a Vegas-based consortium was looking to take it over. And at that point, mate, don't know about you, I'm thinking pre-season friendlies over in Nevada, I'm thinking trips to the Grand Canyon, I'm thinking popping down the casino pre-season. Exciting times, mate.
Yeah, it's a really weird one. I think it'll be remains to be seen how we'll look back on this and how we're speaking about it, because Max, as I'm sure we'll come on to, been incredible ownership of the football club. But it does also feel exciting now that we're getting to someone new, and we knew that Max's intention to sell. But, he's been great. And, it's quite exciting. It still feels a bit unknown, like, what's his kind of intentions? And, I mean, listen, he's an owner of a football club. He's come to try and make a bit of cash, of course. But hopefully he puts us in the right direction. He seems like he's got a decent reputation. But I first and foremost, you ain't coming in to take over a football club that's going to get relegated. You wouldn't be thinking of that. So he obviously thinks we can stay in the top flight. So really interesting, mate.
Yeah, and it was on a day afterwards, on September the 16th. It was put out there that it's Bill Foley's name. So he's the majority owner of the National Hockey League Vegas Golden Knights side.
Always followed them.
Always followed
the Knights.
And he's the chairman of Fidelity National Financial, one of the largest insurance companies in the US. But as you say, best known for bringing the first major professional sports franchise to Las Vegas, ice hockey's Golden Knights. And he achieved immediate success there, but also has instilled a tangible legacy in terms of stadium and infrastructure as well. And it does point towards significant investment in the infrastructure, which is exciting for us, because whilst we've we've sort of danced around the issues of the training ground and like new stadium and stuff, and I know land's been purchased and preliminary work's been done. Nothing really has been done.
No.
You just wonder whether he's now going to be able to take it to that next level. Hopefully you can.
Yeah, I hope so, and that might be his intention. I'm sure we'll hear more over the coming weeks in regards to that. But it's always, in my opinion, it's always been a real balance of wanting to have that legacy and get that infrastructure and sort the stadium out, etc., but then also being aware that if we were to get relegated and we had a bigger stadium, that would cause problems in itself. So I'm looking forward to seeing what his what his project is really with a football club. And as I say, I'm sure we'll hear more and more as the days and weeks go on, mate.
Yeah. So on September the 20th or 21st, it's quite interesting. Will Partridge on Twitter sent him an email, just a casual little email saying something about Bournemouth and are you going to be flying over? And he actually confirmed that he would be. So we put 2 and 2 together and made 4. And on October the 3rd, the flight popped up on flight radar, and then he flew over on the 5th. He landed in Bournemouth. His flight came in, and at one stage it looked like he was flying past Bournemouth Airport. And I was like, he's not going to St Mary's, is he? But then he turned round, and then he went to the Vitality Stadium on the following day as well. He met the staff, the board. He looked at the facilities as well, and a verbal agreement has been put in place for him to purchase AFC Bournemouth, with the deal hopefully being completed in the forthcoming days. But look, it's not that simple. There are various tests to be going through, so it is going to be weeks rather than days. And 120 million is the rumoured amount as well. And I tell you what, that is some figure. Now, I don't know what that pays for. I gather he's still going to have the debt, and Max is going to take what he can out of it. But it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. He's going to be in attendance at his first AFC Bournemouth match as well, which I'm hoping the atmosphere is going to be absolutely buzzing, because you know what Americans are like. They love the razzmatazz, they love the noise. We don't want to be playing organs when we have a corner. But what we do want is a huge, massive, loud atmosphere to hopefully impress him. Look, I'm not sure he's as fickle as to not sign on the dotted line because we're quiet. But last week against Brentford, like we said in our 5 Things We Learned video, it would help the side, and I'm sure it'd put a smile on his face, mate, if we're raucous tomorrow. We need to be.
Yeah, and I think we kind of need a few more reasons to get that atmosphere going. And I think obviously in pressing Bill and showing that, you know, we're all right in here, and also to say thanks to Max as well. So yeah, it's massive for us in these games at home. We like you say, we went over it in the last video, talking about the Brentford game, and we need to get it rocking in there. So this might be an extra kind of incentive to get it rocking. Let's roll the dice, as you would in Vegas, and hopefully we'll do all right, mate. But yeah, I think as well, it's to say thank you to Max. I really hope he's there. I don't know what the situation's going to be, and obviously you've got to get a balance, because we can't really go into a stadium with Russian flags at the moment. but a thank you to Max personally.
Wow.
What an owner of a football club, mate. He's been unbelievable.
He's been absolutely brilliant. I mean, when was it? 2011, 2012.
Yeah, been
he come on board, and I've never actually seen him in the flesh. I know that a number of people have. I know I've been seeing on Twitter that some people have actually spoke to him, like Keith Brewer a couple of times, and he seemed to be a very charming man. I'm pretty sure those are the words that he used. And he's a very quiet man. And I put on Twitter, he's put his money where his mouth is. Well, he actually hasn't. He's replaced his mouth with his money, because he doesn't really like the limelight. But what he has done is stumped up the cash, whereas under previous regimes, it was completely the opposite. We'll all remember the Sports 60 debacle, where promises of money and lots of like pound signs and stuff, and as it was, nothing really materialised from that. But he's given every manager that he's had money to spend.
Yep.
He gave Parker money to spend to get us up, which he did, and then even over the summer he did. He's, you know, despite the fact that he's always been looking to sell, he's always ploughed money in, and it seems to be clear that he wouldn't just sell to anyone.
No.
So he's bided his time with this one, and he seems to have got the right man. But I wonder if there's going to be a bit of a culture shock. We've got a Russian man that likes to keep very under the radar versus an American who's, he can be bombastic. That's one word that some people... We're not doing a Shaggy song, by the way.
Oh, yeah,
but I just wonder if there's going to be a little bit of a culture shock now with a new owner. We're not used to this.
No. Yeah, I know what you mean. And I quite like, sometimes I think you don't hear too much from an owner is normally a good thing. But yeah, going on to Max, I think you can even look, he's been here like you say, in a decade or whatever, but you can look so recent of, he knows he's going to sell the club, and he still spends money. I think we spent over 20 odd million, didn't we, in the summer? And he wasn't happy with the manager and what he was saying. But he could have gone, well, it's not my problem, I'm leaving anyway. And he still made a change and sacked him because it sounds maybe a little bit romantic and sentimental, but I almost feel like he's fallen in love with the football club. As you were saying about he wouldn't just sell to anyone, and putting money in when he knew he was leaving, and he's not going to take a massive profit out of the football club or anything like that. So yeah, cheers Max, I'm sure you're watching. Subscribe to the channel, I'm sure. But cheers to Max. And yeah, I think it's one of them at the moment with Bill Foley. It's I'm kind of sitting back and going, well, let's see what happens. So I'm not sure yet, but it's exciting as well as a little bit nervy to lose Max because of how great he's been.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny, I think a lot of AFC Bournemouth fans are naturally cynical when they see these names popped up and they don't know much about them, but there is a track record with this new guy as well, so that's something to look back on. And you know what, he has got interests and investments all over the place, and it could well be that he could start a legacy that is even beyond Max's capability. It's really
it's mad thinking now. We're like, oh my god, our football club's worth 150 million, and then you go 120 million, whatever it is, you go, that's a little bit more than Jack Grealish. It's mad. That's when you just look at how just heads blown. But yeah, looking forward to it, mate. Hopefully it's exciting times.
Right, should we talk about football, Tom?
Yeah, go on in.
So on to the team news. Gary O'Neill had his presser yesterday at Dean Court. Good news that Joe Rothwell and Ben Pearson, they've had a really good week and they've trained, so they could be they could be named. Could they be?
Yeah, it could be.
You never know.
I'd like to think they'll both be in the squad, at least Joe Rothwell, because he's been close to playing since the opening day. So I'd really like to see him as an option on the bench. But it sounds like them two are the furthest along, and sounds like they've trained with the rest of the squad all week. So
update on Junior Stanislas, is he still around?
I don't know what's going on with him.
I think he's in a good place. He's been seen on the training photos as well, but I don't know, a few weeks or whatever. But Lloyd Kelly as well, he's not going to be with us this weekend. Those are the words from Gary O'Neill. But the suggestions from him, the little sound bites indicated that it could be sooner rather than later with him. I thought it was going to be a few months, but he sort of insinuated that he could be back soon. Yeah,
I can't really work out what's going on with Lloyd, because we don't. It doesn't feel like anyone's told us what the issue is, how long it's going to be. Is he back in training? It does seem a bit odd, but yeah, hopefully it won't be too long. Hopefully we'll get him back basically before the World Cup. I think will be a bonus. But yeah, and then it's Ryan Fredericks come along nicely. Not sure if he'll quite be ready to be in the squad, but good to see him coming along as well, because he looked good when he played for us at Forest, didn't he?
He was asked about his intentions with regards to the managerial position and all that, but he said, "I aim to manage a football team permanently. It's always been my goal. The more I do this, the better I'll get at it. I love it here, and I'm in no rush to get away." And I watched the whole press conference. I've seen all of them, and I made a few notes about him. He's really calm.
Yes.
He's measured, he's articulate, he's grounded. And you can tell he's a bit like Eddie in that he doesn't get too excited and he doesn't get carried away too much. But what I really like about it is that he's got good knowledge of the club as well, because in his press conference he mentions things like the Winter Gardens.
Good move,
and sort of minus 17, all that. So he's learned his history about the club. And I would have Scott Parker would have never mentioned the Winter Gardens.
Well, we said, take away kind of the actual management on the pitch and the footballing side of it. We said a lot, didn't we, about Scott Parker, that he just needed to be a bit cleverer with the fans and and get that support that way.
He just didn't get it.
And he didn't get it. And O'Neill, we know, has got history and knows probably friends with Jonathan Woodgate. And Jonathan Woodgate managed to get it in a short space of time in terms of that fan interaction. It feels like O'Neill's tapped into that, because mentioning the Winter Gardens, that's well played. That's a tick. Fans will like that. He also mentions, I noticed, nearly every press conference he says we're competitive, which was what Scott Parker said we weren't, which I think is really interesting, because we keep using that, don't we? Oh, we're not competitive at this level, and he keeps saying we're really competitive at this level at the moment, which is quite funny. But yeah, he's coming across really well, mate, but the most important thing is at the moment he hadn't lost, and we're looking good on the pitch. It was interesting he got mentioned about Haaland, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Because obviously it was Scott Parker was in charge then, but the longer this goes and he keeps scoring, everyone's going to go, Bournemouth are the only team that can stop this guy. Cheers, Jefferson Lerma.
Yeah, and I just think he's so likeable, and whatever happens, I really hope he's kept on in some way, shape or form, because those kind of characters I think really help to galvanise a changing room. When you've got a likeable character, he doesn't seem to be divisive. Everyone seems to be together, singing from the same hymn sheet, and I'm really impressed by him. Even in this short space of time, I wouldn't go so far as to say yes, I want him for the manager's job. I don't know yet. I don't know. Time will tell about that. But
in safe hands.
Yeah, absolutely in safe hands. Right, on to Leicester City as well, and what's happening with their team. Brendan Rodgers has confirmed that Wilfred Ndidi is going to be out for a few weeks with a hamstring injury, while Papi Mendy will miss the trip to the South Coast with a bruised knee. We know that Ricardo Pereira and Ryan Bertrand, they're also out injured as well. Interestingly, elsewhere in the press conference, Brendan Rodgers actually did say that he'd had chance to leave Leicester previously on 2 occasions. Arsenal and Newcastle believing to be the clubs that were considering him for their vacancies. Not quite sure the context of that and why he would bring that up in a press conference. But one thing he did mention is a player that we've already waxed lyrical about, James Maddison, as well. And he seems genuinely baffled why he's not in the England squad. He's become integral to Leicester, of course, as their talisman, their tactician, their team player. And like we say, he is going to be the one to watch. But they have got a few decent players, Leicester, to be fair, haven't they, to be looking out for?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think we'll go on to the team news, but they've got Jamie Vardy, who we know is a handful, and then Daka and Iniacho as well. So they've got a bit of pace going forward, which, of late, and when we've got them clean sheets at home, them thinking it was Ivan Toney and then Jimenez for Wolves. Very different strikers, so that'll be really interesting to see how we compete with that. And yeah, obviously Maddison. I think Harvey Barnes is a good player on the other side. Some good fullbacks in there. James Justin is a very good player. So yeah, they've got good players all over the pitch, mate. Some really good technical players. I like Dewsbury Hall, who we saw when we were in the Championship with Luton. A very good footballer, only a young player. So yeah, they've got a nice little balance in there. I think we can get them defensively though.
Right, how are we going to win this? Let's find out what the teams are. Come on then, Tom. There we go. Then on screen we have got AFC Bournemouth in what looks like a 4-2-3-1. Tom. Tell me the team. Go on then.
Well, Neto's going to stay in goal, mate.
Yeah.
Do you remember when we used to joke and say someone else rather than Travers, or it was always Travers? But Neto's got that spot at the moment, so fully deserves it. Smithy will obviously been at right back, still on that four yellows. He's still hanging on in there.
Yeah, he is.
I think the good thing is, if you were to get that next yellow, at least Fredericks is getting closer. I was worried we were going to lose him when we didn't have Fredericks.
Yeah.
Centre halves who were exceptional in the last game: Chris Mepham and Marcos Senesi. Obviously, at the moment, we're without Lloyd Kelly, so them two will be in there. And I do wonder if that's why we've been quite compact, quite not as open, because Lloyd Kelly gives us that pace when he's there. We can be a bit more open because he's got that recovery pace.
Wary of that.
Them two haven't got much pace.
Need to stay tight.
Which I'm worried about with this strike force of Leicester. Left back Jordan Zamora, he is one with a bit of pace, so sure he'll get up and back for us.
And that's one thing that I was maybe suggesting last week, that we could be seeing the back four a little bit flatter, so Zamora can help Senesi and Meps out if needs be. But
yeah, absolutely.
We'll see. Okay, in midfield?
Well, it's kind of going to be a double pivot really of Lewis Cook and Jefferson Lerma. They've been solid, haven't they, of late? I think them two have been so consistent for us. So yeah, them two have nailed down them spots. In front of them, I'm going to put Phil Bill in. I know he was kind of moved out to the left one in the last game.
Wasn't that effective there, I didn't think?
No, I didn't, and I felt for him a little bit. But I could see what we were trying to do at home, get another body up top. But I think we'll revert back to that this week.
Okay, and wide players then?
So I'm going to bring, this is going to be my only change, I'm going to take out Kiefer Moore and I'm going to bring in Ryan Christie off the left-hand side.
Right, okay.
I also think that we'll go on to the Leicester team, but with Madison kind of playing off that right, I think Christie gives you a lot of work rate, and Tavernier, so they can switch.
Hassling and Harry.
Yeah, which will help us out, and Tavernier will be on the other side. I really want him to get his goal soon, or do something at the other end of the pitch, because he's been a good signing, but I like him to just, pitch him with a few more up the pitch, get a bit closer to the main man, Dom Solanke, who will be leading the line.
Do you think that we were missing out on, should Jadon Anthony have been brought on, or maybe even Sariki Dembele in the last game, just to give us a few options? I know you said it was a risk, because if they went to score, then it would look naive on him, but sometimes you feel as though they've got the talent to get past players.
I'm surprised at least one of them weren't brought on, particularly when I looked at Bill and Tavernier, looked like they were dead on their feet. But yeah, as I mentioned on the kind of second look video, that it was a risk because it was a real tight affair, and I think we just at that moment we didn't want to be too brave and too much. We might take more of a gamble when we got a Vegas owner, but it was one of them. I was surprised Jane Anthony maybe didn't get 10 minutes, but we'll see, mate. Good options to have.
We should start the show again and do as many gambling Vegas puns.
We'll do it when he's announced, I'm sure.
We'll do it when he's announced. Right, we've got Leicester then, and what's this formation we've got here? Is it almost a 4-3-3?
Yeah, I would say so. It kind of looked the way they set up on Monday, and obviously that was a good game for them, so I'm sure they'll go with that. It's Danny Award in goal. Obviously they lost Kasper Schmeichel, and they've been using him, who's a backup keeper, and he seems to be finding his feet a little bit. He started. I'm surprised that Everson hadn't come in, actually, because I remember seeing him last season with Preston. He was very good. But yeah, Ward's still in goal. Across the back, we're going to have Castagna on that right-hand side. Both their full-backs, if you want to go over to the other one, Justin. They can both play right and left, but I think they'll probably shape up like that. And then the centre-halves, that face we mentioned earlier, is the main signing for him, really, and he'll probably be in there with Johnny Evans, I would have thought. And it's one of them. I think it's one that can be got at. Them fullbacks, a bit like ours, like to bomb on. Evans is getting on a bit and Faye's a new player. I think we can maybe exploit them there. I've had to make a little change off the dome in the holding midfield role, because you mentioned there, which I wasn't totally aware of, Ndidi being out, and that's a big blow for him. I didn't realise he was out. He's their main man, so I'm going to put Samari in there, who's going to have to come in for Ndidi.
In player 6. Yeah,
and play in that deep role, because at the moment I just don't see anyone else they can really do without Ndidi. That's going to be a big blow for him. I feel that as that could be a key moment for us, actually. Ndidi's one of their better players, so him being out, I think, is a big plus for us, mate.
Okay, who else we got?
In the middle with them, you've got Dewsbury Hall, who I mentioned. Done really well in the Championship, and he's really coming to his own.
He plays off the...
He'll play kind of slightly off that left side, that 8 kind of role, with Tielemans on the other side. Them two have been really good. That's a really good pairing. So I think Lewis Cook and Jefferson Lerma in particular are really going to have to watch out for them too, because they're good footballers, and Tielemans could definitely pop in with a few goals.
Well, he scored against us once or twice, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he has, yeah. But yeah, I think, briefly mentioned it, talking about him on Monday night, they went with Madison kind of off that right side, kind of floating in, and I think he'll do that again, and that'll be a real big test for Jay-Z. and then Harvey Barnes off the left will probably stretch us a little bit more in terms of width. I think Barnes will get wider and Maddison will come in a little bit.
It's a good front three, isn't it?
It is. I do think Jamie Vardy will probably lead the line, but you never know. We forget he's getting a bit older now, and they have got other options in Daka and Iniacho, so that wouldn't shock me. But I think because they won their first game of the season, I don't think they'll want to make any changes. Just that Ndidi one that's going to be forced, really. This is my big shout, but I think this is the first time I could get both bang on. I'm looking at it going, I can't see what else these two teams are going to do unless there's any, real surprises nearer to kick-off. But looking at them on paper, I fear from when I look at the top end of the pitch, but when I look at them defensively, I think you mentioned it earlier, there could be goals in this one.
There could be goals. There we go. Those are the sides. What are you thinking for this? Let us know whether you think Tom's gone wrong in terms of his predictions, but also the match prediction as well. The score prediction. How do you think it's going to go? Put your predictions in the comments below. We'll read every single one and we'll press the like button if we agree with it. There you go. Tom, predict it for me. How do you think this one's going to go? Has this got score draw written all over it, or do you think Bournemouth could slightly nick it, or what? Or do you think, Leicester, it could go either way, couldn't it?
It really could. As I say, I'm going to go a little bit against kind of what we've seen at home at the moment with the lack of goals. I think it's going to be a 2-2. I'm going to say I think both attacks might be on top in this one. I personally would take that. I think we're in danger of looking at the league table too much. Leicester are a very good footballing side. I think we keep ticking over with these points. I think that'll be massive for us. So 2-2 draw will show that we can score at home, and get nick a point out of it. I'll take it personally. What about you?
I want to be 2-1.
2-1 to the Cherries.
No, 3-2.
Bloody hell.
3-2
Love it.
to Bournemouth.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully you agree. The referee is Michael Salisbury. He's in charge.
Is he from Salisbury? That'll help.
He's the son of Graham Salisbury, so he aspired to be like his dad. Aspire, they got a cathedral there. Aspire.
Oh yeah.
He aspired to be like his dad. He refed us at Norwich in the League Cup.
What, this one that we just had?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely lives.
What lives?
Oh, I love him. What a guy. I'm changing 4-0.
All those GCSE Canaries giving us grief because it was half term, wasn't it? No, all summer holidays, or what was it? I can't remember.
It was kids for a quid. Wasn't it,
kids for a quid. But turned out to be a good game in the end. Look, this weekend, it's no room for racism weekend. You'll see a lot of it in and around the stadium, and it's a really important message. So make sure you get behind it. No place for that in football. This weekend, I want to see better set pieces.
Yeah, that was the only thing that affected Tavernier's performance.
Yeah, it was. And with better set pieces, better delivery, I'm sure that we will score a goal or two. So I'm really looking forward to
Senesi scoring from a corner.
Senesi scoring a raucous decor. It needs to be loud. Don't worry if people aren't singing around you. You make sure you sing, because we've got Bill Foley to impress, who's going to be watching on. We might even have a few chants for his name.
Oh yeah, we might do. Yeah, we'll have to have a little think about that.
Yeah,
there we go.
Have we got any songs that we could do?
No, I thought you were just going to whack one out then. No, you're not going to. Oh God, you got one.
Oh, Foley's right. The chairs are brightly shining. That's a Christmas song, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but we're getting there. We're nearing Christmas period.
Foley's love can hurt. That's a bit of Paloma Faith. No.
Up chairs.
Otherwise,
Christ alive.
Where did those come from?
Put you under pressure. I am definitely going to get on eBay and get a Vegas Gold Night shirt. Definitely. Oh, love it.